And welcome in, a very happy Thursday to you now. January the 18th, if you can believe that, 18 days into 2024. And we've got actually loaded cards across the sports betting landscape here tonight. It is in-game live. We are PrimeTime here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, joined by Taylor Mathis as well as Matty Perrault here, and we'll have you for about the next hour and 57 minutes or so. NBA often running here about a half a dozen, 5 games, I think, in total there, 2 underway. Plenty, including 55 college basketball games. Loaded slate on the ice. I know, Matty, you are without a doubt keeping your eye on the puck dropping here tonight. A little birdie told me you might have some interest in this Bruins demolishing of the Colorado Avalanche early on here. What do you got going on here, my man?
I don't normally parlay. Good evening to you both. How are you? I decided to go because I really did think that the Bruins were going to have a good defensive performance tonight. I thought, okay, let's go under. So I've parlayed the under with the Stars and the Flyers, the Bruins and the Avalanche, and the over for Vegas 5.5 against the Rangers later on tonight. But unfortunately, 3 goals for the Bruins in the first period. Georgiev did not play well for Colorado out of the gate, which was somewhat surprising, just given normally the Avs get up for these games. They're East Coast games. They have a chance to kind of show out potential cup preview type of performances. So I would say second period under, just given the way that normally first period goes off crazy. Second period normally is pretty sluggish. But I'm not so sure with the way that Georgiev is playing right now. So it's technically still alive, but I can only have 2 more goals in 2 periods, and that's probably going to be dead.
Would it hurt your feelings if I told you Swayman just let a goal in and it's now 3-1? So we're running out of goals here, Matty. We're running out of periods.
It was 2-1.
Scoring.
It was 2-1 and then 3-1 before the break. So I was already dead. I was already. They scored the first goal. The first goal got scored in the first minute. The second goal got scored in the 5th minute. And then the Avalanche scored after the 8th minute. So I was just like, okay, I'm dead on that bet. Yep, move on to the next one.
This is where you just rip.
But it was a plus
rip
460
that ticket
parlay.
right up. I don't hate what's coming up here later tonight, though, with that Rangers and the Las Vegas Knights there, though. So we'll still have an opportunity to make it back there. Taylor, what is going on? Have you had enough time to mourn the Cowboys? Is the mourning period over? Have you come to the realization that all good things continue on because apparently Mike McCarthy is coming back to be your head coach? Are you excited, Taylor?
Of course I'm not excited. I am not excited at all for Mike McCarthy to be back. And I'm actually considering changing my fandom. I've been really thinking about it. And I am really mad at my dad for making me be born into this fandom at this point. I was very upset after this weekend. And then it's just another tough call that we've got Mike McCarthy coming back. I was thinking get rid of McCarthy, get rid of Dak. Change it all up in Dallas, but no, Jerry Jones wants to keep things the same.
See, you have a shot here, though, because technically you could become a Bears fan. You could go back, and you could go back to you're a Cub fan, so you could become a Bears fan because Kingsbury's going to go there and be your OC. They're going to draft Caleb Williams. You got Eberflus to run the defense, and you can say, I was there when they sucked, and I was just a fair weather fan because the Bears might be good in a couple of years. Is that the thought to switch to the Bears?
No, I'm not really going to change my fandom. Of course, I'm still going to stick to being a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
But the Bears have been bad for forever also. So I don't think I'd be switching out for a positive versus a negative here if I went to the Bears. If I was going to change to anybody, it'd probably be the Lions. I just like Dan Campbell. I like their whole squad. Give me the Lions. That's what I'm cheering for right now in the playoffs.
Yeah, but you almost had a Bears tattoo that could have went with that changing of your fandom here, but they were fortunate. Hell of a bet with your friend there that unfortunately you didn't have to get to tattoo. He did, but I do think the arrows are pointing up for Chicago. He had to do it. Did he get it done?
He's going next weekend. Next weekend, the tattoo will be official.
So what's his tattoo?
That's what we're talking
7.5?
about.
7.5. He's getting it on his foot.
Oh, I love it.
I saw him the other night, Monday night. It was Monday night. I was with him Monday night. He's getting it next weekend. We're the whole group of our whole friends. We're all going for the tattoo. He's getting it on his foot. That's what he has decided. I let him pick the placement. That's fair since it's going to be on him for the rest of his life.
See, the next time you guys ever do this, there has to be a size component to this. There has to be it has to be 4 inches or 6 inches or 9 inches. It has to be some type of size. Because as I told you on BVB when we talked about this. Yeah. I mean, you could have put a 7.5 on your heel and no one would ever see it.
Right.
So he's getting off light with that. If he gets to put it down on his foot, no one's going to actually see the thing.
Yes.
Next time, make it of a size that someone's going to actually go, why do you have a 7.5 on your body? It's a weird tattoo.
Make it bigger, a little more pronounced next time, somewhere more visible.
Yeah.
Well, I think you should hold on to the ability to be able to, if you're going to make a bet like that, the only thing you want is the location. I need rights to the location. I don't care what you put it, but you're the one that's got to decide where that tattoo is going to be placed if you want to make a bet, especially backing the Bears of all things. My goodness, that was absolutely horrific.
I did that, Joe. I did that bet with my producer in radio, where for a 3-game series between the Red Sox and the Royals, and it had to be large and visible. Red Sox won, Royals lost. My old has a massive KC Royals tattoo on his back that I made him get.
That's what we're talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Now, let me ask you this, though, Tara. If you were to go to the future tattoo market here, and we are looking ahead, okay, where exactly, if somebody said, hey, Cowboys next year, 10 wins, over 10 wins, you get to put a tattoo. Under 10 wins, what are you thinking? Are you confident? I mean, they've won 12 games a year now, the last couple of years with McCarthy?
3.
They've done really good regular season. So
I'm confident
what are you
they
thinking?
go over the win total for next season because the regular season isn't our problem. Seems to always be when we get to the postseason, early exits every single time. I know with Mike McCarthy staying, that means Dak is staying too, and makes me worried. It's going to be the same old song and dance. Just give me a replay of this year. What's going to change?
Taylor, what matters more to Jerry? Winning right now and making the fans happy and going to games, or a championship? What's the priority in Dallas?
It seems to be that it's more about his boys, as I like to say, his people, the people that he's close with, the guys that are the people that he relies on within the organization. He's not going to get rid of them unless he sees a huge viable reason, because they're winning enough in the regular season for him to not give up the coaching spot to somebody else instead of McCarthy.
Yeah. I think he's losing it as he gets older. This was 10 years ago. He'd already been out the door. We'd be moving on to Belichick at this point. In-game live primetime continues here on the Grid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
This is one of the hardest jobs in all of football. You are replacing Bear Bryant. You are replacing Nick Saban. You are replacing guys who won national championships, and they still wanted them out. They still wanted them gone.
Mike Shula, that you were
Mike Shula
replacing
was a
him.
disaster. Dubas was a disaster.
Gene Stallings.
That's what I mean. They ran him out. He won a national championship, and they ran Gene Stallings out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Good move by the Clippers, and obviously, folks, they have Tyronn Lue, who I think is one of the best coaches in the league. And I'll say this right now, folks, the way they're playing, I know Minnesota's in first. I know Oklahoma City's been great. I know Denver's been fantastic. But the team I'm thinking right now that could actually come out of the West, if they stay healthy, and he keeps playing like that, it's Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I really thought the Lions were going to blow out the Rams. And in the first half, I was like, all right, I got one right here on this one. And then the Lions, what happened, Jacob? They, stopped playing.
The Lions offense is more of a complete unit right now because they have a really strong run game. And I know Tampa's run defense is good too, but all they need is David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs to do a little, and that'll open things up for Jared Goff.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
I am not a Cowboys fan. I did not have a Cowboys ticket on this game. I bet the over, but I'm frustrated watching this game. I'm frustrated seeing the Dallas Cowboys think that this is their optimal game plan.
InGame Live, PrimeTime. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Live. We are prime time here on the SportsGrid Network. Plenty going on here in college hoops, too, as Michigan State and Minnesota in a battle right now, 61-59, with about 7 minutes to go there. Number 23, FAU, having a time of it against unranked Wichita State right now, 48-41. Still plenty of time in the second half there, but that whole playing against ranked teams, with unranked teams coming in has been pretty profitable over the last couple of weeks as we keep seeing all of these top teams in college basketball losing and the shuffling of the number 1, 2, and 3 teams in the country. So I think we're going to get more of that as we progress here during conference play. We do have a couple of NBA games also underway. I know Toronto, and I have no idea who's even left on Toronto. They've traded just about everybody now. I'm not sure if there's anybody left to trade, taking on the Bulls here and the Knicks, trying to pretend like they're really invested in trying to win something here, which is also interesting. Game of the night, though, is going to be, I think, I don't know why we're fading or why we're continuing to give points to Utah here, Maddie, but how many more games against the number do they have to win outright, no less, and cover? I mean, they've been absolutely ridiculous since mid-December, and yet here's OKC, third game in 4 nights. Now they're going to lay 3.5 on the road. Like, what am I missing here with this tonight?
I mean, look, there's a lot of love in the market still for OKC as to what they have looked like over the last 2 months. My only play in this game is I'm on over 18.5 points for Chet Holmgren. I watched him play against the Clippers, and he really was off. So I think he'll have a bounce-back spot here tonight against the Utah Jazz. But I'm with you. I mean, I think Utah's got a shot to win this game outright. OKC's on this road trip, and they haven't looked great on this road trip so far. So, I mean, Utah is a weird team because I think everybody's waiting for them to regress and go back to what they were. I don't think anybody really believes that this team actually could be in the playoffs and actually could be a formidable team in the West. So I'm with you. It's wild to watch the numbers. Home dogs. I mean, we're talking about college basketball home dogs, but NBA home dogs aren't bad either.
Nope. No, they are absolutely not. And I'm wondering there, you're back in the Phoenix vicinity, I'm guessing here. How in the hell your Suns ended up winning that game the other night against Sacramento? I turned the damn game off in the middle of the thing. They were down 22, and I'm like, this is just absolutely horrific in the late game. And then they did the unthinkable And just, I mean, Grayson Allen, tremendous. Finally, it looks like Beal, Booker, and Durant all starting to get on the same page here. What's the buzz with Phoenix here right now in your neck of the woods? Are they excited? Do they think they have a shot here?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think the buzz is very lulled right now. Yes, they came back. That's the biggest fourth quarter deficit that they've come back and won in franchise history against the Kings. Great win for them, which could be a starting jumping off point for us to see the big three continually work well together and create somewhat of a smooth offense. But it is a jumping point. Will they? Was that a good enough win to prove that they are able to come away with more wins against other top tier teams within the West? I'm not sure. And I think that's where everybody's sitting right now in Phoenix, is very kind of in the middle, rocking the boat to see which goes what ways. According to things around Phoenix right now, there are some like whispers of possible teams wanting Grayson Allen, and the Suns aren't saying completely no to getting rid of Allen, but they're wanting to keep him because they do think he's working somewhat smoothly within this offense.
Yeah, well, and he's the one guy that can shoot from the outside on a consistent basis, because that's the thing that drives me crazy about Phoenix. They don't have a ton of depth, and, Grayson Allen single-handedly kept him in that game from being down 40 because he was the only one that could actually shoot a three from the outside. It's a strange thing. I'm not a believer, Matty. I think the whole big 3 days are gone.
Oh.
I think you need a superstar, and you need the complement of players around them that will elevate them in order to be able to make a run. I think collecting all of these big names, I think those days are over. I think Phoenix, again, what happens when somebody gets hurt here? What happens when Beal gets hurt again, which inevitably he will, or Durant can't? There's no depth. You can't afford any depth. And so I think the whole NBA of that big three is over.
Yeah, I don't think it's the end of the big three per se. I think it's the end of the overpriced aging superstars getting together and then going somewhere.
Yes.
Because I mean, look at a team like Denver, right? Like, you can talk about Jokic being the star, but there are 3 or 4 really talented players on that roster. Boston, same thing. Tatum may be the star, but Jaylen Brown and others, KP and whatnot. So I think it's got more about roster building and having young talent and having young superstars together than it is. And Utah's a prime example of this, right? With a lot of young talent, they can go OKC, a lot of young talent. It feels like we're going through a big transition where, like, the Chris Paul, LeBron James, Kevin Durant era is starting to go. Look at the Warriors. The Warriors might miss the playoffs entirely because of the aging superstars and the big contracts that they've got. So I think it's got more to do with that like the younger talent, it's a young man's game, and we're seeing the older, high-priced superstars, teams like the Suns, are having a hard time.
Yeah. Time to move on, Taylor. Can we put the Lakers in that category? Can we?
Yes,
LeBron,
100%.
is it done, right? It's done. I think the last of that kind of era is what we've got. The Clippers are the best last hope, if you will. The Kawhi, the Hardens, the Russell Westbrook. They're in. I think the window is closing quickly right now on them. I think they have a pretty good shot, obviously, of making a run for it out west, but I could not agree more, man. I think that last generation, Golden State, although I think Steph Curry still has a little something left in the tank. I wouldn't stick a fork in him, but they're not going to renew Klay Thompson. Draymond Green is already, done with. So you got to kind of start over here. And how many more teams is Kevin Durant? Taylor going to play for? Seriously. So what happens when this falls flat on his face? Kevin Durant, he couldn't wait to get to Phoenix to play with Booker. So what happens now? You think he's in it for the long haul with Phoenix?
I totally agree with everything you said, Matt, because I just think that you've got Devin Booker, who's really the only young talent. Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant are both on the back half of their career now.
Yep.
So it's just they're getting paid a bunch of money. Durant, of course, wants to leave and put it together another little super team big three that they've got going on. I was a big believer in the offseason, and maybe that's just because I've had these hopes. The Suns getting so close year after year. and then we don't get the championship. I was hoping the big names maybe could do something together. I'm not super confident moving forward the rest of the season. There was actually a recent poll in Phoenix done. Do you think the Suns make the playoffs, or do you think the Suns get booted in rounds 1 or 2, or do they make it to the NBA Finals? And majority of the people believe that they make it to the playoffs but get booted in round 1 or 2. And I'm in with the same token. I see it the same way right now.
Yeah, the West is really going to be difficult. I mean, look at the young talent in the West. Look at Minnesota. Look at a team like Minnesota, right? A team that just is built. You're going to have that's going to be a hard team to face in the postseason. You're not going to want to play Denver in the postseason. Like, there's some really these playoffs are going to be really, really fun. And I think we're going to look back on the play-in and we're going to go, all right, why in the world did the Lakers hang a banner for the play-in tournament? And I think that will be the last time we ever see anybody do that, because teams like that, like the Lakers, like the Warriors, they're not going to be around. Even they make the final 8, they're not going to be around long.
Yep. No, it's you were seeing that next generation of the Chet Holmgrens, the OKC, the Indiana Pacers here with what they're doing and the accumulation of young talent. It's a new era. I'd even say the Knicks are putting it together the right way as well. So we'll get
Boston's
you updated with the rest of the scoreboard when InGame Live comes back. Yep, exactly.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
This is one of the hardest jobs in all of football. You are replacing Bear Bryant. You are replacing Nick Saban. You are replacing guys who won national championships, and they still wanted them out. They still wanted them gone.
Mike Shula, you replacing
was
him?
a disaster. Dubas was a disaster.
Gene Stallings.
That's what I mean. They ran him out. He won a national championship, and they ran Gene Stallings out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Good move by the Clippers, and obviously, folks, they have Tyronn Lue, who I think is one of the best coaches in the league. And I'll say this right now, folks, the way they're playing, I know Minnesota's in first. I know Oklahoma City's been great. I know Denver's been fantastic. But the team I'm thinking right now that could actually come out of the West, if they stay healthy, and he keeps playing like that, it's Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I really thought the Lions were going to blow out the Rams, and in the first half, I was like, all right, I got one right here on this one. And then the Lions, what happened, Jacob? They stopped playing.
The Lions offense is more of a complete unit right now because they have a really strong run game. And I know Tampa's run defense is good too, but all they need is David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs to do a little, and that'll open things up for Jared Goff.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I am not a Cowboys fan. I did not have a Cowboys ticket on this game. I bet the over, but I'm frustrated watching this game. I'm frustrated seeing the Dallas Cowboys think that this is their optimal game plan.
InGame Live, PrimeTime, only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live. We are prime time here on this Thursday as 5 games in the NBA, a couple underway already, including actually a pretty good one here with Toronto and the Bulls. We also have the Knicks losing to the Wizards, but that's a story for another day. Love these games coming up. And Taylor, we were talking earlier. I didn't get the line. I still don't get it. I already bet it. You want to give me points with Utah at home, who, because of the tragedy this week, ended up getting a day's rest when the game was canceled with the Golden State Warriors welcoming in OKC here, whose third game in 4 nights. How did you approach this one coming up top of the hour?
Utah plus 3.5 against the Thunder. The Jazz have won 6 straight games, covering the spread in every single game, sitting just 6 games behind Oklahoma, who holds the 2 spot in the Western Conference right now. Moving Jazz's point guard Chris Dunn to that starting lineup has really been a power move for them. Sliding Utah's Colin Sexton to an off-guard role is helping the Jazz create space within the court for more open shot opportunities. Oklahoma, on the other hand, they've dropped 2 straight games on the road to the Lakers and the Clippers. Playing 3 games in the last 4 days, the Jazz, they also haven't played since Monday, and they have the rest advantage. I'm going to go with Utah to keep it close tonight, like you guys were also saying earlier, plus 3.5.
Yeah, the numbers here, Joe. I mean, Utah's 16-4 ATS at home this year. 16-4 is ridiculous. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They've covered the last 6, like Taylor said. They're also 16-10-1 against the West. So it's not just like a small sample size here for the Utah Jazz. They've been doing this for a while now.
And they keep covered. They're like covering machines. And it's so funny because in many aspects, they are right now what Oklahoma City was over the last couple of years. They never were a favorite. They were undervalued. They were the best ATS team in the NBA. And now now they're a road favorite against what is now, I think, the best undervalued team in the NBA with Utah. But interesting team coming up a little bit later with the Pacers, who I also think may get a little overvalued here at times, but you got to love the direction they're heading. It's an interesting game coming up here tonight with the Pacers taking on the Kings, who I think this is their first game home, Taylor, after that road trip here. They lost to your Phoenix Suns in epic fashion. Now they got Indiana coming in. What are we doing in this one?
The Kings had it rough, too, because not only did they lose a heartbreaker to the Suns, but right before that, they lost a heartbreaker to the Bucks right before. Mm-hmm. So they just had a rough span. And I like the Pacers plus 8.5. I took that on the alternate spread. That number's been moving all over the place today. And this is more of a fade on the Kings than a play on Indy. Sacramento is so bad defensively at home. Bottom 10 in almost every single category. The splits between home and away are crazy to look at for this Kings team. The Pacers are the NBA's highest scoring team, and they're top 5 in the league against the spread. Indy is still without Tyrese Halliburton, and of course their newest addition in Pascal as well, being traded from the Raptors. They're still a very highly competitive squad, even without them. I'm going to go Indiana plus 8.5. And I also like a prop play within this game. Kings star point guard De'Aaron Fox over 2.5 made threes. Fox is really developing into a monster threat within the NBA. He's stepping up his game beyond the arc, leaving these opposing defenders caught in dilemmas that should they close out on the 3, Fox might just blow right past him, or do they back off and allow him to make it from deep? He's hitting more trees than any other King on this team, and he's shooting nearly 40% from beyond the arc. Fox has never hit 3 threes against the Pacers. However, this season, Indiana defends the 3 ball at the 8th worst rate in the NBA. I'm going to go with Fox over 2.5 made threes tonight.
It's interesting too, Joe, because the books haven't adjusted yet to the Tyrese Halliburton less Pacer team. The total is 245, 244.5. Okay, 5 of the last 6 games, Indiana's gone under, and not just under by 10, 13.5, 16.5, 35.5, and 31 points. So I think this game could be an under game, even though the Kings are a high-flying team and they can score a lot. Their last game against Phoenix went under. They went under on that road trip. They went under, 3-1-1, the under was on that road trip they just came off of. I think that's too high. 245.5 is too high for this number. I would look to the under in this game because the books still haven't adjusted yet without Halliburton in the lineup.
Yeah, it's a great point, too. And this morning was 248.5 because Halliburton was listed as questionable, as if he might play tonight. So you already knew it was overinflated to begin with. Then the minute he was ruled out, and by the way, not just tonight, I think they said he's a week away, at least a week away, before he's going to come back here. So, yeah, it's amazing. Doncic goes down for Dallas. They play better defense. Halliburton goes down for Indiana. They actually play better defense. I think there's a correlation somewhere there. We do have a late game here tonight, Taylor, as well. I believe Memphis and Minnesota. What are we doing in this one? Anything?
I'm struggling to find any plays I liked in this, but I'm going to go with Grizzlies guard Vince Williams Jr. over 11.5 total points. Memphis is just super injury depleted, and they are part of that next man up mentality. Whoever can make a basket is going to go for it. And Williams is being trusted in a starting role for the Grizzlies right now, and he's producing, coming off a season-high 24 points against the Warriors. When Williams is starting, he's averaging over 9 points a game. As Memphis gets healthier, Williams will likely move back into a secondary unit role. For now, Memphis needs those scoring options. I'm going to lean on Williams tonight to go over 11.5 points against the Timberwolves.
Ooh. I
like
you,
it. I mean,
this is
the T-Wolves are home are 10-6-2 on the ATS on the year at home. Memphis has played okay on the road, 12-9 ATS. I have over Anthony Edwards 25.5 points tonight. I think he'll have a pretty big game here tonight scoring. He's averaging 26 points per game, just a little bit below his season average for him. Joe, how do you feel about the Timberwolves when we get to the postseason? Because as we know, the regular season gets played differently. Doesn't it feel like the T-Wolves are built to make some noise once we get to the playoffs?
I still have questions on how consistent they can be without Anthony Edwards. I mean, he is the heart and soul of the offense of that team, but it's also been pretty inconsistent when he's not on here. And they're going to play defense. I mean, the style of that they play, very stingy, right? They're going to protect the rim against any of the big guys. Doncic hates playing against them. Jokic, he hates playing against them. Why? Because they got, those two twin towers there in Cat and the big man Gobert there. The problem is you gotta score in the playoffs. We know this. Do they have enough scoring on a consistent basis? The only thing that I'm worried about with Minnesota, they check all the other boxes, but what happens when a team like Indiana goes small? And now they're running by them. And all of us, because how many times we got to watch Gobert in the playoffs? Is it like anybody see him?
True,
like,
but
we've been down this road.
But Joe, the only way the T-Wolves are seeing Indiana in the playoffs is in the finals. And there is no way the Indiana Pacers were making the NBA finals. Sorry, Indiana.
Well,
that
let's
is not
say it's the
happening.
Clippers. Clippers will go small and go right by him.
Yep.
You know what
Possibly,
I mean?
yeah.
I mean, that's the matchup issue is that Gobert becomes a liability the minute and he's got to come out. Anybody brings him out because they can shoot the three from the out. He becomes a liability. There is a blueprint to beat Minnesota, but you got to be really good and have the pieces. And to your point, I think there's only a handful of teams that actually can get there. I believe wholeheartedly Boston is the team to beat in the East. And I think, call me crazy, Denver's the champs here. But something tells me a healthy Kawhi Leonard, a healthy Paul George here, Taylor. And
I agree with you.
Those pieces there, and I don't even want to call them a dark horse because it's ridiculous to say they're a dark horse with that kind of star power. But Taylor, tell me I think it's a slam dunk in the East with Boston you're going to have to go through Boston. But I think the Clippers are the team to beat in the West.
Oh, I so agree with the Clippers. I went to, the Suns and the Clippers have played twice over the last 2 weeks. The game here in Phoenix, I was at that Clippers-Suns game. It was so upsetting. First of all, seeing the Suns play so terribly, but the Clippers just look so good right now. When they're like, James Harden's meshing so well with them. And at first, I know the Clippers didn't start off great when Harden came over there, but things look great right now. And like you said, when they're all healthy, they're clicking on all cylinders, and I think that the Clippers can be very scary in the West.
Look at that list. Like look at the number of teams in the West that are old. Lakers old, Warriors old, Suns old. I mean, the Clippers are young. I mean, I guess not young, but they have more guys in the prime of their career as superstar talent than anyone else on that list. You know, T-Wolves are unproven. Thunder are really young. Pelicans unproven. Kings unproven.
Yep.
It makes a lot of sense. In the 5-1 price that on the West, I mean, I'm beginning to get talked into betting it now before that thing drops down too much. That's a 5-1 return on that. It's not going to be 5-1 in a couple of months.
I could not agree more. And I think
in the West. What?
Name
Crazy
only.
to me right now.
Because name only. Name only.
Really
I
is.
mean, as long as Durant is healthy, you're going to get the market's always going to overvalue him. But you know how I know the Clippers are really, really good? Because nobody's talking about James Harden. And he's showing up and he's playing. There's no drama. There's no Harden this. There's no amazing. It's not about James Harden, and he's fitting in, able to play his game. And I think quietly we can all thank Russell Westbrook for being the guy to raise his hand and go, I'll go to the bench and come on. You know, I'll be. Otherwise, it would be drama central here. We'll take a look at the scoreboard when we get back here in Game Live Primetime.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
This is one of the hardest jobs in all of football. You are replacing Bear Bryant. You are replacing Nick Saban. You are replacing guys who won national championships, and they still wanted them out. They still wanted them gone.
Mike Shula, you replacing
was a
him?
disaster. Dubos was a disaster.
Gene Stallings.
That's what I mean. They ran him out. He won a national championship, and they ran Gene Stallings out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Good move by the Clippers, and obviously, folks, they have Tyronn Lue, who I think is one of the best coaches in the league. And I'll say this right now, folks, the way they're playing, I know Minnesota's in first. I know Oklahoma City's been great. I know Denver's been fantastic. But the team I'm thinking right now that could actually come out of the West, if they stay healthy, and he keeps playing like that, it's Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I really thought the Lions were going to blow out the Rams. And in the first half, I was like, all right, I got one right here on this one. And then the Lions, what happened, Jacob? They stopped playing.
The Lions offense is more of a complete unit right now because they have a really strong run game. And I know Tampa's run defense is good too, but all they need is David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs to do a little, and that'll open things up for Jared Goff.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
I am not a Cowboys fan. I did not have a Cowboys ticket on this game. I bet the over, but I'm frustrated watching this game. I'm frustrated seeing the Dallas Cowboys think that this is their optimal game plan.
InGame Live, Primetime. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live, prime time here on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Matty Perrault and Taylor Mathis here as both NBA games, by the way, at the break right now. You've got the Bulls on top of the Raptors, 63-58, and the Knicks fought back to have the lead at the break, 46-45 at the Garden against the Wizards. Second halves are coming up, and of course, we're all getting ready for what should be a crazy weekend in the NFL. We're trying to get a little bit closer to figuring out, well, who's going to be the champion, right? Who's going to the Super Bowl? We'll have a better idea once this weekend is done. But the game of the weekend, Bills, Kansas City, in Orchard Park. In fact, our good friend Warren Sharp here was on with Scotty Farrell, Coast to Coast this afternoon. He brought up an interesting point about who the refs are going to be and why that's important. Here's what he had to say.
But I want to ask you, Warren, Hockley, your boy Eddie Hawker, who's he going to throw the most yellows at on Sunday in Buffalo? Because these two crybaby, Oscar-winning, Golden Globe, Emmy-winning actors in Mahomes and Allen, the two biggest whiners in the NFL, are going head-to-head.
Yeah, you're right. These guys love to turn to the refs and ask for a flag after there's a contested hit on them that may or may not have actually been roughing the passer, but they're going to try to act and try to draw that flag. And Sean Hockley will fall for that, in my opinion. He has thrown the most roughing the passer penalties of any ref this year. The other thing that we should be able to expect in this game is that these refs tone down their offensive holding calls. And the Chiefs and the Bills both are victims of having too many offensive holding penalties on their own lines. But the Bills, when they play at home, really force other teams to hold a little bit more, and those usually get called. If the refs are not calling as much offensive holding, that's a slight advantage to the Kansas City Chiefs, who are the road team playing in Buffalo, where most road teams have a lot of offensive holding called against them. There could be a penalty, like a roughing the passer, that decides this game. It flips some field position potentially in a closely contested game. And I think both of these quarterbacks are going to be moved around the pocket, trying to find something down the field, getting a little bit frustrated and using their legs a little bit more. And there could be some of those hits.
Yeah, gotta love Hockley just throwing yellow flags at players here, but it's an interesting key element to what these games are all about, having an understanding of what are we dealing with the flags. It does seem, Matty, I don't know if you've seen this, but it does feel like maybe there was an effort in some of these wild card games, less flags and more let them play out. I don't feel like we were having a ton of conversations with these games. Now, granted, a lot of them were blowouts, but It didn't feel like the refs were a topic of conversation. Even when we're all going, that's a penalty, they didn't throw they weren't one-sided about it where it was a penalty for one team and not forget. It just wasn't a penalty. They let him be really handsy in the secondary, which I thought was good, but a lot of people screaming and yelling about it.
Well, that was the Lions in the Rams game, right, where we saw the passing and there was a lot of yardage that could have been accumulated through penalties, and we didn't see a lot of it. Now, the Lions won the game, but if I think the Lions had lost that game, there might have been a lot of anger about calls that were not made in the secondary for the Rams. But look, this is going to be so wild to watch and see how the Chiefs handle the elements and how they handle being on the road and having to go into a silent count with Buffalo. It's been pretty nice to be at home, and it's been pretty fortuitous to get the home cooking referees when you're sitting at Arrowhead Stadium in January. Having them playing in Buffalo in the cold with the snow and with the referees maybe against Patrick Mahomes. Maybe he's not going to get the call that he got in the game against Miami, which was two-hand touch. Okay, that was a ridiculous call. If that call's not made, maybe we're talking about a different outcome or at least a different ending in terms of the score between Miami and Kansas City. There was a little momentum, going on there for the Dolphins. And then you had that, 1-2 step push, and then he jumps backwards like he got shot. I don't know if he gets that call in Buffalo. He got it at home. He may not get it in Buffalo coming up this weekend.
Yeah, it's a good point. I do believe guys like Mahomes and maybe Josh Allen, They're always going to earn the benefit of the doubt. Baker Mayfield, maybe not so much. But what are you thinking here? That poor guy's like the walking wounded. He's taking shots left and right. We're not going to see any flags on that.
Right.
But what about it, Taylor, in Buffalo? Yeah, Lamar, exactly. What do you think we're going to get here? It's what Buffalo has been screaming about for the last 3 years. It's got to go through Orchard Park. We need this home game. Well, you had a home game last year and you lost. I don't know, so what are you going to do this year now when Kansas City comes to town? What do you think we're going to get?
Close game, like we usually do with these two teams. I'm not sure on a side. We all know that I like to always pick against Buffalo, but I've got to admit that Buffalo and Josh Allen, they've looked really good. So I can't say that that I would go against Buffalo. I think this is the only game where I have not bet aside at all thus far heading into the weekend.
The line is screaming, take the Chiefs.
Coming down too.
It is.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
This line is
Big
saying
time.
the books want you to take Kansas City. Like they're just they're baiting you to bet the Bills. The books are going to most likely go to 3 at some point during the week, and then all the Chief money will come in. Anybody here in Vegas goes to 3, it gets batted back immediately. So 3 is the number that everybody wants for Kansas City. As you mentioned, Taylor, these teams normally play really tight games and close games. I can't wait to watch Mahomes on the road. This offense has been so bad.
All right. Sorry. We got to love technology. It's wonderful when it works. No, we got you, Matty. You're back. I think that's the underlying question of the player. When you see something for the first time. Now, listen, it's not his first game. We get that. He's played on the road. But under these circumstances, we've never seen him in the hostile environment this time of year. I don't think it's going to take that long to figure out whether or not it's going to bother him or it's not. So I do think there's a live betting opportunity here the minute we see a hint of uncomfortableness there.
Right. And look, this team, even last week at home against the Dolphins, had to settle for field goal after field goal in the red zone. I don't think you can do that against the Bills here. If you get to the red zone, you're going to have to score touchdowns. I know the under seems like the play because the Chiefs can't score. But if the Chiefs don't score red zone, I think they may get blown out. So I don't know. I like Buffalo a lot here. I probably like them too much with this. Dave Sherapan and I went back and forth on this already. He was like, I'm telling you, Matt, like, watch out for this Chief line. This is not that the books are laying a trap, but this is screaming, take Kansas City, take the points here because the books believe that the Chiefs are going to go up there and win. I don't think I agree with that. I think this is Buffalo's time. I think we're going chalk. I think it's going to be 1 versus 2 in the AFC. It's going to be the Ravens up against the Bills here for the AFC Championship game.
It's usually always that way. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, the number ones usually eventually make it all the way to play against the other side's 1 or 2s. But history also tells us that, winning is one thing. Covering is a whole nother ball game there, Taylor. And we've got some, you're looking at these lines. The reason I love this time of year when we get to this point in the contest, all the frauds are gone. There's no more, right? There is no more negative point differential Pittsburgh in the playoffs, right? Joe Flacco is not leading us to the promised land here, right? So the frauds are gone. And what we're left with, I think, are the 8 best quarterbacks that we have seen play over the last month and a half of the season. So it's kind of hard for me to go, listen, it might be all the favorites could win. Wouldn't shock any of us, right? But at the same time, wouldn't be shocked if one loses and a bunch don't cover. We only had one game that was affected by the spread first go around. That was Detroit. They won, but they didn't cover. Every other game was a blowout one way or another. It didn't matter. Do the point spreads come into play this week? And who's that one dog we probably shouldn't be sleeping on?
Ooh, I think my dog, and I guess I'm going with the public on this, but I like the Texans to cover this week against the Ravens. I actually, though, I put money on Green Bay to cover against the 49ers as well. I like both of them as dogs.
I think first half. I think Texans first half may be a decent bet because we've seen Lamar struggle in the first quarter in particular for playoff games. So maybe there's another rusty start there for the Ravens. But I think as that game progresses, I think that offense is going to have a hard time against the Ravens defense on the road. I love C.J. Stroud. Nico Collins has been phenomenal this year. I'm really sad that Tank Dell broke his leg because he was such a dynamic guy on the other side. The tight end position has been really nice with Schultz for this offense. C.J. Stroud's just been playing so well. This is the Ravens at home. This is Harbaugh's defense. I think by the game, as it goes in the second half, I think this game might get away from the Texans. But the first half, I don't mind a first half play on the Texans taking the points.
Seems like a lot of people are convinced the 49ers are just going to punch their tickets and just bring them to the Super Bowl. They probably shouldn't even play the game. But the last time that I've heard this much confidence and smoke being blown towards San Francisco, the Ravens were coming down. And if memory serves me here, Matt, it didn't work out all that well against the Ravens. Remember how great they were going to, they were just saying it was a terrible spot for the Ravens. Now they got to go back on it. I'd be a little careful with all of that confidence. I mean, they may very well beat Jordan Love in Green Bay. I get it. They've overperformed. But you still, this isn't a best 4 to 7. The best team doesn't always win, Matt. That's the whole thing.
No.
Any given Sunday, right?
I think Taylor's onto something here because we're talking about the youngest team in the NFL. They don't know any better. Jordan Love is playing as well as anybody else. And I think getting healthy, getting both the tight end and the wideout back, getting Musgrove to come back and getting Watson back, as long as those guys can stay healthy, I mean, that is an offense with the running game that they've got. They can keep the ball away from San Francisco. I mean, they had an awesome game plan last week. I think they'll have a really good game plan up against this Niners team, and there could be a rust situation there for the 49ers. If I'm picking which dog covers, I'm with Taylor on the Packers. I think Green Bay is going to put up a fight here. I don't think they get killed by the 49ers.
Yeah, again, it's a quarterback league. You name me 8 better quarterbacks that we have seen down the stretch here. These guys have been phenomenal. Jordan Love at the top of them, and maybe youth serves them correct. Now, again, a lot of baggage with this 49ers team. A lot of bad memories. Been here a year ago. You had to do it with a Wildcat because you didn't have any more quarterbacks.
But Brock Purdy, I mean, you brought up the Ravens game. What happened in the Ravens game? Brock Purdy threw 4 picks in that game. I mean, this is how the Niners lose, is that their quarterback, they can have all the skill players they want, right? You can have all the Kittles, and you can have all the Ayuks, you can have everyone running around. The quarterback's not playing well. He can throw you out of the game. So that's the key. If Brock Purdy is off, absolutely the Packers can go there and bounce the 49ers.
Call me crazy. I think at least one of these big favorites, Taylor, is going down here this week. Just flat out lose. Flat out lose. There's going to be one big one. And come on, Taylor. Who is it? Houston for you?
Oh, no, I don't know why. I think I lean the Packers. An interesting stat that I read earlier is Matt LaFleur is the best coach against the spread as an underdog, the best active coach currently against the spread as an underdog. It's covering 70% of the time. I don't know. It's something about the Packers. They're dangerous right now. They make me nervous, and the 49ers, everybody's on.
Don't forget, Tampa's a dog, too. We'll have more on that coming up here on the grid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game
will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
This is one of the hardest jobs in all of football. You are replacing Bear Bryant. You are replacing Nick Saban. You are replacing guys who won national championships, and they still wanted them out. They still wanted them gone.
Mike Shula, you're
Mike Shula
replacing
was
him.
a disaster. Dubas was a disaster.
Gene Stallings.
That's what I mean. They ran him out. He won a national championship, and they ran Gene Stallings out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Good move by the Clippers, and obviously, folks, they have Tyronn Lue, who I think is one of the best coaches in the league. And I'll say this right now, folks, the way they're playing, I know Minnesota's in first. I know Oklahoma City's been great. I know Denver's been fantastic. But the team I'm thinking right now that could actually come out of the West, if they stay healthy and he keeps playing like that, it's Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I really thought the Lions were going to blow out the Rams. And in the first half, I was like, all right, I got one right here on this one. And then the Lions, what happened, Jacob? They stopped playing.
The Lions offense is more of a complete unit right now because they have a really strong run game. And I know Tampa's run defense is good too, but all they need is David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs to do a little, and that'll open things up for Jared Goff.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
I am not a Cowboys fan. I did not have a Cowboys ticket on this game. I bet the over, but I'm frustrated watching this game. I'm frustrated seeing the Dallas Cowboys think that this is their optimal game plan.
InGame Live, PrimeTime. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in as we close out this hour of in-game live prime time. Much more to get to here as plenty of college hoops underway, including a big one in the Big Ten here with Illinois and Michigan underway. The NBA also there. We're in the second half with Toronto and the Bulls, as well as the Knicks Wizards getting ready for the tip here for Utah and OKC. And Taylor, before we bid you goodbye here, don't want to put you on the spot here. We got your props ready to roll here tonight in the games. But come on, give us the best bet this weekend, NFL. Come on. What's the best bet here?
I got one for you. In the 49ers-Packers game, we're going to go with San Francisco's receiver, Brandon Ayuk, over 67.5 receiving yards. I've been watching this line, most of the prop lines, all week starting Monday. It opened at 62.5. As of today, it's all the way up to 67.5. I grabbed it at 64.5. So I just feel like that line keeps going up. There's something going on that maybe we don't know about. So I like Ayuk over his receiving total this weekend.
Kind of like that here because you know what I found fascinating was the fact that when you look at the future odds for the Super Bowl MVP, it's Josh Allen, it's Patrick Mahomes. And there's 3 49ers, including Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, and Brock Purdy. So let me ask you, if Ayuk has an MVP-worthy game, who the hell's throwing him the ball? Isn't it Brock Purdy? Like, why are there 3 49ers with odds to win an MVP in a Super Bowl game, including the quarterback? It's an awful lot of feeling in the market that it's already a done deal. The 49ers are on their way. That worries me immensely here, that somehow the 49ers are just going to roll through. And let's face it, if it is Detroit that advances, Detroit taking on the 49ers, that's not a walk in the park. None of this is a walk in the park from this point forward. So it'll be interesting. Taylor, always a pleasure. Thank you so very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Maddie and I will be back another hour. In-game live primetime next here on the Grid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Off and running another hour here of in-game live prime time on the Sports Grid Network. Happy Thursday to you. Joe Raineri alongside Manny Perrault as we've got plenty on the hardwood going on, both college and NBA here. It is a back and forth with Toronto and the Bulls. Actually, a pretty good game there. The Knicks and the Wizards are playing keep away. Interesting spot there, but a lot of big games coming up late night in college hoops, including your favorite, I believe, Indiana State. Is that what I'm understanding here? Now, of all the games, could have been Michigan, Illinois, Michigan State. You go Indiana State. So tell me what we got going on here.
No, I've gone worse than Indiana State. No. In the Valley, betting a Valley game, actually, I like betting the Valley a lot. I have bet Southern Indiana against Arkansas Little Rock. So just be clear here. What we're going. This is the Ohio Valley we're going into here. This is. I wish I was betting a Valley game. Before you think I'm insane, let me explain the bet, okay? Because I've been betting this trend of teams in conference play, and this is my trend. This is not like somebody else. This is my trend. A team in conference who goes on the road and loses to a conference opponent who comes home and is a home dog. In the last 2 weeks, it's gone 9-2 with the games I have bet. And we're talking about Arkansas, their win. Michigan over Ohio State, their win. Drake in their win over Indiana State, speaking of them. So Southern Indiana lost their last road game, rather. They're at home tonight, catching 3.5 points to Arkansas Little Rock. They're down 21-16 with 7 to play in the first quarter. So long way to go here. But I am watching a game with, I think there's 500 people in the building at the moment at this D1 basketball game. I was stunned there was a line on it, but there was a line on it. And then I'm also on Cal State Fullerton up against UC Davis, catching 2 points out of them in the late night. So I'm on that. Illinois, I laid the 2.5. I battled back and forth all day with it. I just don't think Michigan's good enough to hang here. Illinois has been very good playing on the road at Michigan of late, 3-0, straight up 3-0 ATS in the last 3 trips there. So it's a small number. I hate laying points on the road in conference right now. It's like if you have a number next to your name and you're going on the road, you're losing that game more often than not. So I'm definitely worried about that bet, but I did bet the Illini tonight.
Yeah, and we've seen that actually, certainly over the last couple of weeks, that whole unranked team taking on a ranked team coming to their building, and it has not worked out well here at all. But some great late night action here in some of these games coming on, especially out in the Mountain West there. I'm looking forward to the Oregon game here taking on Washington State. No, I'm sorry. Oregon is taking on, if I am not mistaken, Washington is taking on Stanford. I'm sorry. That was the game there. Oregon is actually taking on Colorado, who for some reason everyone seems, now they're 10-0 at home. Don't get me wrong. Right. But they've lost 3 straight on the road. They are hot or cold. And I think people forgot Dana Altman is a pretty damn good coach. And Oregon is playing some amazing basketball right now. And they're getting 6.5 points here. No team is, let's face it, indispensable at home. And Colorado, although they've been good here, I love the way Oregon is playing. I think Colorado is, this is going to be one of those final possession kind of games. And you want to give me 6 points with Dana Altman in this team? I got no problem grabbing it here. I may be wrong, but I think Colorado's a bit of a fraud out west here, and I think Oregon's going to show them that here. I think Dana Altman's got this team ready to take that next step, and I can't wait to see that one. And I don't know, can Stanford keep it going? Because, you're out west here. This team shoots a 3 like I've never seen.
Look, it's funny with Coach Altman, and full disclosure, I am pretty biased with Coach. I've spent more time with Coach Altman than any other coach in Division I basketball. So I think you're right about Coach in terms of the way he prepares, and having him be a dog on the road is always a good play. I'm just nervous about the entire Pac-12, Arizona included in certain games. I have a future ticket on Arizona to win it all at 11-1, but they scare me just given the like last night. I mean, they should have just rolled last night. They didn't roll. They won, but it was just like, where is the killer instinct for Arizona? And I mean, how good are any of the teams? How good is Washington? How good is Washington State? It's almost like football all over again in a way, where you have a couple of good teams at the top, and then we don't know about the rest of the conference yet as to how good the Pac-12 actually is. So this would be a big win for Oregon to go on the road and to give the Buffaloes their first home loss. That would be big, and it would be a nice statement to see where Oregon is at the moment, because they can go really streaky, hot and cold shooting for the Ducks.
Yeah, it's and they've done a really good job. Plus, they got the big guy back last game there, Dante, who is going to be one of the top NBA draft picks coming up. I mean, he's almost a 7-footer. The kid is an absolute beast. He missed the first 14 games, so it's nice to get that final piece there back. It's amazing to me how people forgot how good Dana Altman is as a coach and a recruiter because of a couple of down seasons. But listen, I don't need him to win. You don't have to win outright. Just keep it within a bucket. We all win that way. You can have Colorado keep winning the game. I just need it under 6.5 points. I think we're good to go.
How about the Zags on the road against Pepperdine? Gonzaga might miss the NCAA tournament. They're laying 12.5. I know Pepperdine's bad.
Crazy.
But I mean, there's a shot that if we were doing a bracket right now, that you would leave Gonzaga out, given what they've looked like over the last month.
How the mighty have fallen, man. I mean, it's just not Mark. And I don't blame Mark Few. It's just they're stuck in this awkward transition period. When they lost Timmy, who was there since 1978. Everything is kind of collapsed. The whole NIL situation now, and it's tough, man. It is tough to compete. I will say this: I can guarantee you, nobody's playing defense on Pepperdine. And they have never met a three-point shot they didn't like to take. So if they happen to be hitting some shots, I don't know how this game stays under 157. We know Mark Few's going to run. I don't see how we're not going to get over the 157. I can't stand. I thought Long Beach State, when they returned 5 starters from a year ago, would be better than what they are. They're taking on Hawaii, who is just not a good team in the States at Long Beach State. It feels like this is the time to kind of turn the page here, Long Beach State, and get yourself a win at home against a Hawaii team that, quite honestly, is just not that good. The problem is they're a 50% free throw shooting team. So you know what happens late in games.
It's the beach.
The beach ends up, all of a sudden, that double-digit lead is 3 now because they couldn't hit a foul shot at the end of the game. So plenty going on in college hoops here tonight. We'll take a look at the scoreboard on the ice when we come back. Plenty of hockey here tonight, too. We've got you covered. In-game live primetime continues on the grid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
This is one of the hardest jobs in all of football. You are replacing Bear Bryant. You are replacing Nick Saban. You are replacing guys who won national championships, and they still wanted him out. They still wanted him gone.
Mike Shula, you're replacing
was
him?
a disaster. Dubos was a disaster.
Gene Stallings.
That's what I mean. They ran him out. He won a national championship, and they ran Gene Stallings out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Good move by the Clippers, and obviously, folks, they have Tyronn Lue, who I think is one of the best coaches in the league. And I'll say this right now, folks, the way they're playing, I know Minnesota's in first. I know Oklahoma City's been great. I know Denver's been fantastic. But the team I'm thinking right now that could actually come out of the West, if they stay healthy, and he keeps playing like that, it's Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I really thought the Lions were going to blow out the Rams. And in the first half, I was like, all right, I got one right here on this one. And then the Lions, what happened, Jacob? They stopped playing.
The Lions offense is more of a complete unit right now because they have a really strong run game. And I know Tampa's run defense is good too, but all they need is David Montgomery and Spearkits to do a little, and that'll open things up for Jared Goff.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
I am not a Cowboys fan. I did not have a Cowboys ticket on this game. I bet the over, but I'm frustrated watching this game. I'm frustrated seeing the Dallas Cowboys think that this is their optimal game plan.
InGame Live, PrimeTime. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live. We are prime time here, and sure enough, we got another ranked team goes down. Number 10, Memphis loses at home to unranked South Florida, and it could shoot myself for not playing this. As I mentioned earlier, I really love this team. Let me just see what they got. It's only their third true road game. They haven't really played a ton, and yet they go on the road, and they upend number 10, Memphis. I guess so much, Matty, for maybe flying under the radar now after this win as a 11-point underdog, by the way. They went into this game, and they win 74-73 here. Also, turns out that Michigan-Illinois game is going to be pretty good here. There ain't nobody running away in that game as well, Matty.
No, and the thing about the Memphis game, which makes it different, is because we have seen teams on the road. This has been sort of a house of horrors for ranked road teams.
Right.
This is a home loss. So we'll see what South Florida looks like the rest of the way. But Memphis, that was a team hoping for a top 3 seed, right? I mean, they could win the conference regular season, win the conference tournament.
Crazy.
So there's a lot of talk that, the Alabama transfer on your screen that you see. So they had talent. Yep. I mean, Penny Hardaway, obviously, big name coach. NIL has been very good for Memphis. But, man, you lose like that. You want USF to have a really good season the rest of the way if you're Memphis, because that's one of those games, if they fall apart at any point during the season, it's like that's the red glaring bleeping dot on your schedule. Like, you lost a home game to who? Like, uh-oh.
Yep.
So I could come back to haunt Memphis for sure if UCF didn't keep going.
Will. That was a fifth. They were up 47-32 at the break. They got outscored 42-26 in the second half at home. And I got news for you. I mean, I feel like we say it every year. There's always that stretch of time, especially once conference play begins, right? All the ranked teams, they go down. Oh, Purdue can't beat Northwestern. No kidding. They never can, right? But it feels like there's more parity this year. Call me crazy, man, but it feels like on any given day, there's not that 2 or 3 teams that are just a cut above. I mean, obviously North Carolina, who can score at will. UConn, now that Klingen's back, they're Houston, nice rebound, but you lost 2 games. It feels like you mentioned Arizona earlier. I mean, do you feel safe ever backing Arizona at a big number now? Like, I don't feel safe with any of these teams that are supposed to win. It feels like parity is alive and well here in college basketball.
Yeah, it's really true. I didn't play it, but it was 89.5. I play Arizona team totals a lot when I think they're going to win and win big. I didn't play it last night. They only scored 82 points last night. Didn't come close to getting it. They didn't cover easy. It was 21.5. Didn't come close to covering that number last night. So yeah, I mean, look, I have a future ticket on Arizona 11-1, Creighton at 30-1, and Marquette at 20-1. And I don't feel good about any of it. I don't feel like any one of those tickets is going to come close. I just need them to get to like the final 8, and then I'll hedge off of it, and it'll be fine. But North Carolina is a team I may buy some futures on. I hate UConn, so I refuse to bet anything with UConn. Just a personal preference. And last year was hard for me, yes, with them winning it all. But I went to UMass in case you're curious about that. And then I really don't know what to make of the Big 12 because I want to like Kansas, but everyone likes Kansas. And the more basketball people I talk to, they're telling me, like, Matt, there's like 3 or 4 teams that if KU plays in the tournament, they may not get out of the first round. Like, they're good, but they're not that good. Their outside shooting is streaky. Dickinson's great, but he can be had. I love KU, but I don't know what to make of them. So I'm with you. There are so many good teams. I'm not sure we have an elite great team right now.
Well, somebody get yourselves acclimated to UCF because they are wrecking teams now in the Big 12. Welcome to the Big 12, and they are just, taking down Kansas. They win again last night against Texas that nobody thought they were going to be able to win. And, Houston is now a member. We got to keep remembering they're not part of the AAC anymore. They're a Big 12 team. So it's crazy.
And what's happened? They're 2-2. I mean, this is not the AAC anymore where Houston gets to relax in January.
Exactly.
Okay, this is going to I can't wait to watch Houston. Let's see what they've got for legs playing the defense and the rebounding, the style they play. Let's see them get to March. Are they going to be even remotely the same team we've seen in years prior because of the style that they play? But I'm with you. BYU and Central Florida, they've both come into the Big 12, and they've made the league even more difficult. It's a hard league.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's not good. And you still have, Baylor and Scott Drew had to reset. Whole lot of great freshmen on that team. Baylor is going to be better next month than they are right now. There are a lot of very similar teams, right? I mean, Texas Tech, I think, got brought back down to earth yesterday as Houston absolutely destroyed them. But I'm also a big believer in I want to see teams like Houston lose now because I think losing now against this level of competition will benefit them. Don't forget, they'd go through the season. The only team they'd have to play is Memphis. Maybe they lose one by a bucket. Like, they got absolutely bulldozed in these 2 losses they had. And now, so now you're taking on another Big 12 team there in Texas Tech last night who's been beating everyone. And you steamed. That was the Houston that we've known to love. But at some point during the tournament, because of that cakewalk of a schedule, you'd end up getting bounced by the bigger, better team. And this, I think, is a great learning experience for them because I think they're going to be a little more grizzled by the time March comes. And maybe those games that they would have lost in years past, they don't lose this time.
I think people are sleeping on Duke. And I know it's Duke. Everyone rolls their eyes. They're like, They got a big guy that's a big problem. They got a backcourt that can score. They got a bench, and they got a coach in Shire who obviously is still really learning on the job, but a guy who really is a good coach and can really get things done X's and O's wise. And people aren't talking because I know, look, I've bet Carolina a lot over the last 2 months or last month. They're phenomenal. They're so fun to watch. They're really good defensively. They're really good offensively. They've gone on the road and won big games. They won at Pitt. They've won at tough places already. But, man, I think the Duke – I can't wait for the first Duke-North Carolina game, which I think is February the 5th is the first game between Duke and Carolina. Mm-hmm. We'll learn a lot about both teams coming up here when that game happens. It's in Chapel Hill on February the 5th, I believe it is.
Yep. No, I listen. You want to talk about team totals? Just bet North Carolina's team totals over. That team is a offensive machine here, and I think the ACC, for all its faults, there's still a bunch of teams in the ACC. I mean, don't look now. Florida State can't lose. Leonard Hamilton's one of the best coaches in the country, always has been. And it's been a rough go. It was a down year last year. He's got a bunch of new faces, young kids. But now all of a sudden comes conference play. And all of a sudden they are quietly now in front in the ACC. And they just steamrolled Miami again here last night. Yeah. And they got long athletic wings that can now shoot. So I wouldn't sleep on a team like Florida State either. I don't know what the hell happened to Clemson. But Virginia, can you ever sleep on Virginia on their terms?
No, because defensively they're always so good, but offense is still a problem. It always will be a problem for that team.
Yes.
They can't score on anybody.
But the first one to 50 wins, they win that game every time. So, I mean, that's the whole thing with Tony Bennett and Virginia. So I think the ACC, Miami just doesn't have any depth. So I don't think Raineri and company are going to, we're going to get another one of those great runs. I do think Duke and North Carolina are going to be the teams we are in all likelihood talking about. But who wins the SEC? It's a fascinating conversation because everyone has beaten everybody in the SEC.
Right.
What do you do with Kentucky,
best
Matt?
Team. I like Kentucky a lot. Cal got his 4th win at Kentucky last night. I think Kentucky has it. They could win it all. Kentucky, they're a team I got to look at in the future as market to cut the nets down.
Yep, I wouldn't sleep on Auburn either. More on that coming up here. In-game live, primetime continues.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
favorite. I don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
This is one of the hardest jobs in all of football. You are replacing Bear Bryant. You are replacing Nick Saban. You are replacing guys who won national championships, and they still wanted them out. They still wanted them gone.
Mike Shula, you replacing
was
him?
a disaster. Dubas was a disaster.
Gene Stallings.
That's what I mean. They ran him out. He won a national championship, and they ran Gene Stallings out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Good move by the Clippers, and obviously, folks, they have Tyronn Lue, who I think is one of the best coaches in the league. And I'll say this right now, folks, the way they're playing, I know Minnesota's in first. I know Oklahoma City's been great. I know Denver's been fantastic. But the team I'm thinking right now that could actually come out of the West, if they stay healthy, and he keeps playing like that, it's Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I really thought the Lions were going to blow out the Rams, and in the first half, I was like, all right, I got one right here on this one. And then the Lions, what happened, Jacob? They stopped playing.
The Lions offense is more of a complete unit right now because they have a really strong run game. And I know Tampa's run defense is good too, but all they need is David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs to do a little, and that'll open things up for Jared Goff.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I am not a Cowboys fan. I did not have a Cowboys ticket on this game. I bet the over, but I'm frustrated watching this game. I'm frustrated seeing the Dallas Cowboys think that this is their optimal game plan.
In-game live, prime time. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live. We are prime time here on the Sports Grid Network, taking a look at the scoreboard here, and we do have a couple of games that we're holding our breath on in the NHL, including what we thought was going to be a dead over between the Bruins and the Avalanche here. 3-2, I believe. We got about 8 minutes left to go with that total hovering around the 6 mark here. So, hey, if they score nothing the rest of the game, I think you win there, man. I think that's a good thing.
It's a very good thing, but I'm holding my breath on it. I'm very concerned about this just because it's 3-2. If they score, it's 1 for 2, essentially. So it's dead. The Bruins score, it's 4-2, and I'm still alive. So I can give up a Bruins goal here, but then I can't give up an open net at the end. Now, the Bruins normally don't go too aggressively at open nets. They play a bit more conservatively, but they do score open net goals when they have chances to do so. So that game is by far going to be a massive sweat. And I'm on the my parlay is under 6.5 Bruins, under 6.5 Flyers, over 5.5 Vegas. So the second leg is that Flyers game, which is 4-1. They're up 4-1 on the Stars. Yep. So that's not safe either. So I've got both of these games that are on a razor's edge here. Could go one way or the other. We'll see how the gambling guys want to be nice to me tonight or not and give me a plus 460 parlay hit.
Well, we just need to get past this this first one here with the Bruins and Avs. Just end it at 3-2, and I think we will be good to go there. We do have a couple of games. Puck is going to drop here, top of the hour, and it's the Rangers taking on the Golden Knights here. And you mentioned 5.5 or 6. The Knights, another small dog at home against these Rangers. Rangers, I think, beat them twice last year. 9-2, I think, was the total amount of goals in that one. So it's been a rough stretch here for the Golden Knights after a hot start.
They are so banged up. They have so many injuries that it's just, Aiden Hill's been in and out. They're starting goaltender. Logan Thompson's in net tonight for Vegas. They just, William Karlsson's out. They don't have anything that they will have in a couple of weeks when guys get back. So look, if you're going to get Vegas now. They do struggle scoring, but Shesterkin has not been good. Igor's been really up and down. He's basically good for 3 goals a game, given up wise. And I think Logan Thompson gives up at least 2 to the Rangers, if not more. So that's why I like over 5.5 in this game, even though people are betting it down because they're saying, okay, it's Igor and the Vegas Golden Knights are having a tough time offensively. I see that, but I like over 5.5 in the game. I think Vegas will give up a bunch. I like the Rangers to win as well, but this is always fun when teams from the East Coast come in because there'll be Rangers fans in the building, and it creates this very cool dichotomy between Golden Knight fans and the East Coast team, and it's like a playoff-type atmosphere, even though it's a regular season game.
The other one that I find fascinating is Vancouver at home welcoming the Coyotes. They've won 6 of their last 7 at home. 5 of those wins by more than 2 goals, rather. And they're coming back with a crazy road trip. I mean, they just scorched earth everyone. 5-1-1 on the road trip. And it was, again, multiple goal wins here. It's almost kind of crazy. Like, all right, so they're back home. Why are we not laying the 1.5 here against Arizona? It just feels like if it ain't broke, don't fix it here, man.
So the Vancouver Canucks are 31-13 on the puck line this year. If you bet every single game on the puck line, you'd be up 22. You'd be up 22 units.
Wow.
Okay. It's just scary. I can't get my brain around this. It's just the gambler in me who I've touched the stove so many times and I've been burned just because it's a 4-3 final. But every game, it's almost leaving. It's not almost. It is. It's leaving money on the table to just bet the money line with the Canucks. It's just, if you like them, bet them on the puck line. Only 13 games all year have they not covered the puck line here this year, and they're favored in most games. So, look, I am very, very high on the Canucks. I bought a 27-1 ticket on them to win the Stanley Cup.
Ooh.
I think they just, I know it's Canadian. It's like, oh no, 1993. They haven't won since then. I understand all of that. But that was just too long of odds for a team that was leading the Western Conference at the time when I bought it at 27-1. I just think this Canucks team is defensively and goaltending wise 1, 2, or 3 goals, and they score 4 or 5. So it's 4-2, 3-1, 4-1 almost every single time they win. So, yeah, I like them on the puck line tonight. I just don't have the courage right now. Even after all that, I haven't bet the puck line. I probably should.
Yeah, well, I believe Demko is back in goal. He was off. I think he got a night off the last time out against the Sabres. So I would imagine it's him to go here tonight. And you're right. I mean, he's 13-3. He's got at home. He's got a 2.00 goals against. I mean, yes. If they can't win this game at least 3-1, I'd be shocked if they even get one in there. So. You do have that as an option. We also have, of course, the Kings at home taking on the Predators, who also are going through it right now. But the Kings, they've had a little lull here where they couldn't score, but they are at home here. Goaltending still up in the air, but I kind of feel like the Kings at minus 150, probably not a bad price here to handle business against Nashville.
I like the Kings first period over potentially in this one. Predators do give up first period goals a lot. One of the most productive first period over teams to bet this year has been Nashville in the top 10 all season. So I like that first period over. By the way, I feel like I'm watching a cartoon. You know, when you're watching a cartoon, you spend all your time watching left, and then you get hit from the right. It's 5-1 Flyers. It's 5-1 Flyers. Oh. I've spent all this time watching the Bruins game going, oh no, oh no, oh no. The Flyer game is a bigger worry now because we got 4 minutes to go, and the likelihood could be high. If they pull the goalie, I'm in deep trouble there. So I can't go any more goals. I have under 6.5 in the Flyers and the Stars, and I may get the Bruins game and lose the parlay thanks to the Flyers keeping on scoring on the Dallas Stars. So this is why parlay betting is such a bad idea.
Third. That's 3 goals in the third.
We haven't gotten the open net yet. Oh,
I don't.
Good.
That's terrible.
By the way,
Lightning finishing off the Wild, by the way, 6-3 also. So thank goodness. If you had the under, you wouldn't have had to worry about sweating that game out because it was by the time the second period came around, it was dead in that one over there. My goodness.
This is the NBA. Okay, it's 37-20 right now. Thunder over the Jazz. It may not be a bad idea to take the Jazz right now. Just given where the NBA goes, you're going to get plus 10, 11? I haven't seen the number at the moment, but you're going to get a big plus here on the Utah Jazz, who are at home. And you mentioned it. They turn the ball over like crazy. But this is a young Thunder team. Look, we've seen them blow big leads this year. It's not impossible for the Jazz to make a game of this. It's still in the first quarter. We got a whole 3 quarters to go here between these two teams. So I don't know. 37-22 is not a good start at all for the Jazz, but they are at home.
No, but they're home, and you're right. It's a game of runs, the NBA. So nothing that teams do early on would scare me to think that they're not capable of a 15-4 run at some point here. And again, this is the third in four nights for the Thunder here. So the Jazz were rested. They thought they were going to have to play that game against Golden State, and with the tragedy, they got an extra day of rest. I have confidence that the Jazz will make a run of this. And most of this, by the way, they're still not there, but it looks like the Thunder, they got 39 points here in the first half. And a lot of that came off the fact that the Jazz they kept turning the ball over to the Thunder, who have taken advantage of it. And it looks like the Thunder are going much smaller. The Jazz are a much bigger team out on the court here. Thunder are going smaller, and what happens with Oklahoma City is they start to slow down a little bit with that with that smaller lineup, and that gives teams an opportunity to get back into it. As it looks like we've got 39-27 now with about 30 seconds to go in that. Tip-off coming up here, Pacers and Kings, followed by the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves here. And who were you leaning toward? Were you on the Pacers here, or it looks like the Kings are starting to get some late money in?
Yeah, I don't know bet on this game. I would bet the under. If I was going to bet anything, I'd bet the under. Maybe you can look at a fast start and get a larger number, get like a 260 or something and bet under in that game. Because I do think that game will be lower scoring. But I know I'm on Chet Holmgren over 18.5 points. He's got 9 points in the first quarter, so that's a good start for me with that prop. And the only thing I got going late with the Timberwolves is I've got Anthony Edwards over 25.5 points. In that one, and I think most likely the Timberwolves are going to win that game. But it's, the thing about the NBA that is so frustrating, because if you like the Jazz, which we all did, the in-game number is so much better than the pre.
Yes,
and it's like you almost kick yourself because you're like, oh well, I took 3. Well, I could have taken 10. Like I could have had a much better number.
Yes.
And we're just waiting for the in-game to go off. It's almost like betting NBA pregame is almost anti what we should be doing, simply because the numbers are so much better in-game.
Yep. With the runs in the NBA, yes, you can always have a pretty good shot there. But at the same time, you also got a pretty good chance of getting a middle here as this game goes on.
True.
If you went in pre one way or the other. So opportunity present itself. They are finally added the first. We got a problem in the Garden, though, as the Knicks are holding on for dear life against the depleted Washington Wizards. 86-83 right now. And it looks like we've got no goals. There we go. All right, one down. One to go here with the now we just need the Bruins and the Avs to follow suit, and we'll be good to go. Also, 5 minutes remain in Toronto. The Bulls up 103-101. So some great finishes coming your way. Come back and join us here in-game live. Primetime continues on the grid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
This is one of the hardest jobs in all of football. You are replacing Bear Bryant. You are replacing Nick Saban. You are replacing guys who won national championships, and they still wanted them out. They still wanted them gone.
Mike Shula, you're replacing
was
him?
a disaster. Dubos was a disaster.
Gene Stallings.
That's what I mean. They ran him out. He won a national championship, and they ran Gene Stallings out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Good move by the Clippers, and obviously, folks, they have Tyronn Lue, who I think is one of the best coaches in the league. And I'll say this right now, folks, the way they're playing, I know Minnesota's in first. I know Oklahoma City's been great. I know Denver's been fantastic. But the team I'm thinking right now that could actually come out of the West, if they stay healthy, and he keeps playing like that, it's Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I really thought the Lions were going to blow out the Rams. And in the first half, I was like, all right, I got one right here on this one. And then the Lions, what happened, Jacob? They stopped playing.
The Lions offense is more of a complete unit right now because they have a really strong run game. And I know Tampa's run defense is good too, but all they need is David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs to do a little, and that'll open things up for Jared Goff.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
I am not a Cowboys fan. I did not have a Cowboys ticket on this game. I bet the over, but I'm frustrated watching this game. I'm frustrated seeing the Dallas Cowboys think that this is their optimal game plan.
In-game live, prime time. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live, prime time here on the Sports Grid Network. Misery loves company, which is why we're bringing in Cam Stewart. Going to make him feel better about his Toronto Maple Leafs here in just a second as he gets ready to take over. Top of the hour there with Gabe Morency. So, Cam, let's start on the ice here. Yep. I'm jumping in with you here. They're down 2-0 at Calgary. They have no business being down 2-0. How much fight is in this Toronto team?
Great question, Joe. I love you, Raineri. Like, you're my guy, and I'm going to tell you something. I woke up today and said, if the Leafs don't win this game, like, I don't even know what to think. They dominated Edmonton, but Skinner played Skinner! He's been on fire for Edmonton, and the Leafs just don't have that extra gear. Matt will tell you, too. Matt, how nice is it to be a guy that's a Boston fan, like a Patriot fan, a Bruin fan? Like, honest to God, me and Morency talked about it on our show last night. It's like, how much does Boston own Toronto? They, like, slap Toronto around. Like, like, even the New England Revolution are better than TFC. Anyway, let's just get down to business, Joe. I don't know what the hell's going to happen here. I told Morency, I go, it's not Keith's fault, but if they lose this game, he might get canned. We got to get in I don't know if they're going to win the game, but plus 1.5, whatever. I love this game, like, from the get-go.
Plus 120.
I did so many NFL
plus 1.5,
shows today.
plus 120.
Oh, and
come on,
like,
Cam, let's go.
The Leafs got to win tonight. They got to win tonight. I'm like, no, I got to be honest with you. I thought they were going to, like, be up 5-0 on Calgary after the first period, but they just don't have it, Joe. No, but I'm going to bet it. Here's the thing. They're a lot like the Philadelphia Eagles. You're like, oh, good team, you know, we could do it. And then you watch them play, and you're like, did they score again? Or did Calgary score again?
No. Bruins open net. We were sweating the Bruins under 6.5 the entire way.
I got the Bruins over Colorado. I told this guy in my show, I go, Bruins are going to beat Colorado tonight, but I don't know anything about the Leafs. Raineri, I'm going to tell you,
30 seconds left.
The Leafs are a weird team. They beat Edmonton most of the time, and they lost last night. But they're down 2-0. 2-0 is the worst lead in hockey. I was like, oh, what are you guys from the 1970s? Yes. No, but it's true. It really, like, 3-0's a bad lead, a bad lead in today's NHL. So you know what? I don't know if you guys have the stones to take the money line, but I'm down on the puck line, and I need to get some money back because I'm in big.
I kind of like it, Cam. I'm with you here. Oh, wait. 2-1, Cam. I hope you got it in because it's now 2-1 . So that's not available to you anymore there.
On the ice
no. Dang it.
See, Cam? You see, I told you. Listen, you should not do any other show but this one. We're going to will this through here, and they're going to have a lead by the time.
What have I ever done to anybody? Like, I'm helping old people walk across. I don't want to hurt anybody. I just want to win some money. It's just like what, like, cheering for Toronto teams is torture. It's absolute
plus 150.
Torture, I'm in.
The reason why the Bruins, by the way, Joe, the reason why they scored that open net goal was to give Pasternak his hat trick. They weren't going to score.
No, stop.
They gave him the puck to let him score.
Hey, Matt,
and that's how the 5-2.
Do you like Dunkin' Donuts? I got donuts and a coffee. They see the commercial. Pasternak, I'm in the penalty box. You know what? Here's the thing about the Bruins, though, Matt. Like, and let's just say this: they're not even at their best, but they're such a proud, solid franchise. It's just one of those things. It's like the Bruins will play a couple bad games, but it doesn't happen over a long stretch. They're not like the Leafs or these other teams that go, oh, yeah. Like the Bruins are just one of these teams. It's like you get into the locker room, and I used to cover the Leafs, and They used to get beat down by the Bruins in the playoffs. I used to go to the Bruins room. Actually, you know Peverley? He's a very good friend of like one of my best friends. He lives in Guelph, like literally 20, 30 minutes away from where I am. And I'm watching, like we play street hockey with him and stuff. All those guys on the Bruins, they're just different. They're not like Austin Matthews doing commercials for Royal Bank and, hey, everybody, look at my turtlenecks, my blazer. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, Joe?
I mean,
you pull it up,
but that's
you
what,
played NCAA baseball. That's
right. That's why the Bruins the Bruins having a point total of 98.5 going into the season made absolutely no sense to me.
That's too low.
It's way too low. So I bet it. I was like, wait a minute. The Bruins haven't had less than 100 points. The only time they had less than 100 points was the COVID year. So it's like they're always getting to 100 points. So in 6 straight seasons, you take out the COVID year for the Bruins to go over 100 points. Now, last year was historic. I get it. But I didn't get like the overreaction, like what, they're going to have 95 points or something? It didn't make any sense to me. So
goaltending too.
Yeah, two goalies are back.
You got Allmark and Swayman. They're like two of the best goalies in the league. Like you got defensemen that can play D and actually have offense. That's the whole problem with the Leafs. Their offense is amazing. But after that, you're like, how's their defense doing? Giordano, I could beat that guy in a sprint. Like, their goalies, Jones and other turkeys that they have. This is the problem, though. Wall got hurt, and we'll see. If they still lose games when Wall comes back, then we got a real problem with this team. But I'm going to tell you, Raineri, if they lose this game to Calgary tonight, heads are going to roll. This Toronto media, like these guys are insane.
Happen.
I actually, like, I remember I had to go see my folks at the old person's home today, and I go, I'm going to listen to terrestrial radio today. I turned it on.
Boy.
Oh, man, Sheldon Keefe and the Leafs. Can you believe what happened? Like, I'm listening to these shows. Like, let's fire him. Let's fire him. I'm like, it's not all him, man. You got Giordano as your like top defenseman. The guy's older than like, a redwood in California. I don't know how to like. What's the oldest thing you know, Joe? I'm just saying, like,
it's old.
You know what I'm talking about?
It's really old.
It's old. It's old.
But there's still no excuse to lose to Calgary in this spot. Absolutely none.
They just don't have that. I used to play hockey, and when you got a 2-0 lead on a team, the key is to get a 3-0 team on the team that you're playing.
Oh, yeah.
So you hurt their will. Every time the Leafs have a lead, it's like 1-0, 2-0, and they're like, da-da-da-da-da, let's have fun. And then I watch a Bruins game, and when the Bruins get a lead, they bury teams.
Yeah, they
Florida
suffocate
Panthers,
you. Yeah.
Same way. The Leafs just don't have the guys that, like, Matt, you're an MMA guy. Like, I'm not saying you have to go up and like beat the crap out of a guy, but they don't have the players that have that internal soul that says, you know what, we're going to bury you now and put our foot on your throat the way you should. That's the whole problem. They got great talent, but they just don't have a killer instinct. And that's the problem with the team.
What do you make
about
of
the
Vancouver?
Canucks?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes, the Canucks.
Morency went from like Montreal fan. I'm the president of the Canucks fan club. I mean, he's like, oh, Leafs and Canucks tickets, $800. I'm like, that's a lot of money. He's like, I want to go to the game. Here's the thing about the Canucks. They're a great team, but I ain't laying 200 against Arizona. But they'll probably win the game. 6.5, I think, is a little bit too high too, Joe. I'm going to tell you, like, that total, I'm not – Matt, what do you think about that total at 6.5? Isn't that too high?
It is, but the problem – I mean, I think the bet I like the best, and we were talking about it before, is that, look, this is – the Canucks are the number one team in the NHL to the puck line. They're up 22 units on the puck line. Like, when they win, they win by 2 goals. So it's like, I don't want to lay 200. I'll just come in and take the puck line. But I hate betting puck line because I've missed so many games with 3-2 victories. So, like – I just have a skittish nature about betting puck lines, even though I should be betting the puck line every time the Canucks play. So I don't like the under, over, neither on the total, but I just think bet the Canucks on the puck line if you're going to bet it. Because if they win, it's going to win 3-1.
They always show up early, too. Like, they're one of those teams that, unlike the Leafs.
Good point.
They don't go down 2-0. Like, you take a Canucks play, like, lay minus like, you don't play the minus 180 money line. You take the minus a half, whatever, in the first period. Rick Tocchet has these guys going like they get out on the ice like
no joke.
Hey, Rick. Yeah, like exactly, Joe. You know that.
And they have a goalie They got a goalie. So
you know what the
that
craziest
helps
thing
a
is,
lot.
guys? Do you know how good American goalies are compared to Canadian goalies? Like our best goalie right now is
Really?
Carter Hart.
Wow.
Oh,
You
yeah,
guys
that's
have
good
you
point.
guys have Hellebuck, Ottinger, Demko. Like I can literally list 6 better American goalies than the first Canadian goalie. And no, things have changed, Matt. Remember back in the day, we used to have,
which is strange,
all those French goalies. It doesn't exist anymore. Me and Gabe were talking about it on our show. I'm like, who's the best Canadian goalie? I'm like,
Well, it's wild. Have you guys seen? Have you guys seen what Hellebuck and the Jets have done to team total unders to the opposition over the last 20 games?
It's amazing, Matt.
It's 19 of 20. It's
destroyed.
13 straight games.
Yep.
It's like
I'm going to tell you,
it's the best bet in
one of
hockey.
my best friends covers the Jets, and
absolutely,
he's one of those guys. It's just like, and he's a very good gambler, but he doesn't like to talk, and he's a very quiet guy. But we talk and we do like videos on NFL and stuff together, and he does a Jets podcast. And I'm like, have you ever seen a Jets team like this? He goes, listen, Cam, I've been covering this team for like 10, 15 years. He goes, I've never seen a team more dedicated to defense. Like, they don't even have Connor in the lineup. He was like one of their best scorers in the league. These guys, Hellebuck, and when you guys look at their defense, Joe, it's like one of those things. It's like, how are you doing this? They're not even like the top echelon players. They're just a very sound hockey team. And then I thought about it. I'm like, I've been on some hockey, like when I played hockey from a young age, it's like I've been on some teams that had the most talent and we never got it done. And I've been on teams that had mediocre talent. We got it done. It's all about guys knowing their role. The Jets are one of those teams that like nobody's out of place. Everybody's like, I'm not a hero. Let's just get this out. And now with Connor back, I think the Jets are a very scary team.
I mean, if he wins the Vezina, I mean, if he keeps this up and wins the Vezina, I mean, I absolutely think, again, it's a Canadian team in the playoffs, so it's scary as heck. 1993 is still there. But yes, I do think the Jets, I like the Canucks, I like the Jets. I've already bet the Canucks at 27-1 just because it was too low a price. I was like, come on now. I was like, they should be way bet more than that. It's all the way here now, outright to win. It's the Western Conference, but the Canucks there, the Jets there. Everyone's in love with the Stars and the Avalanche and the Golden Knights and the Oilers. And I know the Oilers are on a different planet right now. They can't lose. But my gosh, come the postseason, I think, yes, I love Colorado. Vegas better get healthy, and they better get healthy quick. I can't trust Dallas, really. I mean, Wedgwood's, Ottinger's got to get better.
You guys know, like Matt, you're an East Coast guy. You know hockey. Even though Raineri was a great player at Oklahoma State in baseball, he knows the game. He knows hockey. And I'll tell you something about hockey is when you play it your whole life, you don't have to be the most talented team. It's a very simple concept. Yeah. If you have a coach and a defense and a goaltender,
you can win.
It's a very good situation, and the Jets have that. That's the thing, man. They're a very scary team. Remember when they had all that offense? They used to beat teams 6-4 and stuff. They never did anything. Now they're more dangerous, winning 2-1, 3-1 games. That's the way it works, right? Yep. I'm going to tell you guys though, as you guys are from the U.S., the American goaltenders are the best in the world right now.
They're on fire.
It's USA and Russia. I don't know what happened to Canadian goaltenders. Are they like smoking weed or partying too much? They go.
So you got a point.
Who's our best goalie? Carter Hart? Oh my God!
No, you can't do that. You don't want to do that at all. There, Cam Stewart getting ready. Top of the hour with Gabe Morency here. Listen, we're taking Toronto to the house here tonight. They're going to get it done, and so are the Canucks on the puck line.
Canucks.
Be good, Cam. Good luck with those plays. We'll close it out next year on the Grid.
Canucks. Oh yes, Joe.
quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices. And we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
This is one of the hardest jobs in all of football. You are replacing Bear Bryant. You are replacing Nick Saban. You are replacing guys who won national championships, and they still wanted him out. They still wanted him gone.
Mike Shula, you're replacing
was a
him?
disaster. Dubos was a disaster.
Gene Stallings?
That's what I mean. They ran him out. He won a national championship, and they ran Gene Stallings out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Good move by the Clippers, and obviously, folks, they have Tyronn Lue, who I think is one of the best coaches in the league. And I'll say this right now, folks, the way they're playing, I know Minnesota's in first. I know Oklahoma City's been great. I know Denver's been fantastic. But the team I'm thinking right now that could actually come out of the West, if they stay healthy, and he keeps playing like that, it's Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I really thought the Lions were going to blow out the Rams. And in the first half, I was like, all right, I got one right here on this one. And then the Lions, what happened, Jacob? They, stopped playing.
The Lions offense is more of a complete unit right now because they have a really strong run game. And I know Tampa's run defense is good too, but all they need is David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs to do a little, and that'll open things up for Jared Goff.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
I am not a Cowboys fan. I did not have a Cowboys ticket on this game. I bet the over, but I'm frustrated watching this game. I'm frustrated seeing the Dallas Cowboys think that this is their optimal game plan.
InGame Live, PrimeTime. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's a game of runs. That's what we tried telling you. Now, OKC up by 6 with 3 minutes to go there, just like that in the NBA. All right, we're getting ready to get out of here. Matty Perrault, Joe Raineri, want to thank you guys for hanging with us here tonight. But on the way out the door, we still got a couple of games getting ready for the puck to drop, as well as tip-off, I believe. So come on, lay it out for us here, Matty. What's the final ticket of the night here for everyone?
I'm just on over 25.5 points for Anthony Edwards for the Timberwolves there to get a W. I'm on minus 2.5 for Illinois against Michigan, but it's 48-47 there. So I'm going to be turning this off and then going right to the TV set to sweat out that game. And then I trailed you guys on the Jazz. I took the 3.5 with the Jazz. I'm on Chet Holmgren over 18.5 points there. My parlay is dead, but my college basketball bets are alive. So got to go see how we're going to play that out. So only one ticket you could bet right now if you want to trail that with the Edwards over 25.5. I think he has a big night tonight scoring.
I'm not going to lie. I did take Utah at 10.5 too, waiting for this opportunity here for them to come back. And it's been a nice run here. Still got some time to go here, about 3 minutes before the break. We're getting ready for Memphis, Minnesota, as well as Indiana and Sacramento. Should also be a good one. Call me crazy. I'm taking the Canucks on the puck line because if it ain't broke, we ain't fixing it whatsoever. But seems like consensus is maybe the Rangers might not be a bad look here tonight on the road with, I don't know, maybe a money line parlay with them and Vancouver. What are you thinking?
Oh, I don't mind that at all. Not bad. You can do Vancouver inside the distance, too. If you don't want to lay the puck line, you can get inside 60 if you want to win that regulation win.
Yeah, inside. Yeah. Love it. All right. And we both need obscure teams to win in college basketball. I'm going for Dana Altman, though, and Oregon to get it done here tonight. Don't worry about it. Cam Stewart, Gabe Morency, They will have you locked, loaded, and ready to go here into the midnight hour. Until next time, Matty Perrault, a pleasure. Cash those tickets.
Thank you, man.
We'll talk to you guys again soon. Good luck.